To show you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico, we hired a Shakespearean actor.
Oh, woe is me. Wherefore are thy claims help when I hadst a fender bender?
Pardon the interruption, but when you file a claim with Geico, your claims team will be in touch right away.
But willest they forget about me later when thou needest updates?
No. They'll always be there to, helpeth you out.
Well, I suppose that I should bemoan something else, like my lactose intolerance. Oh, whyest must dairy disagree with me so savagely?
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
And timers are for babies. Welcome. What is episode 14? 13? 14?
Sounds right.
There we
14.
go. Hey,
14
look at
today.
that. For a second there, I thought I was getting the old dead fish. All right, sweet.
Yo. Sometimes it's good to be a dead fish. You don't want to be a live fish. Jesus Christ, those things get hunted.
Title podcast. We are back. We
Okay.
had a hell of a session last night. I mean, at least I thought so.
I would say that was probably the funnest session we've had in a long time.
Agreed.
Like this, if the rest of the sessions in this campaign had been like last night's session, I feel like we would have never had complaints like we did about
True.
this campaign.
True.
The players seemed lively. A few times we got caught off guard because something happened and we're like, oh shit, I wasn't ready for this. But the improvisation, we were all there for all of it.
Yeah.
It was great.
I enjoyed myself thoroughly. We
Yeah.
got headroom. We actually made progress in a thing that feels like it was put out for many sessions. You get to do some sweet roleplay, Dan.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
The
Yeah, that
vassal.
was really fun.
I always
love
kind of
that.
I get stuck in these things of where it's not like what I would want to say or do, but what is the right wrong thing to say for the situation, because it's how our DM like
Yes.
builds vocabulary with us.
There is a correct and incorrect answer.
Yeah. And it feels like I'm thinking more about that puzzle in my head more than like
Yep.
what would I actually want to do.
True.
And so yeah, that was kind of a strange. I mean, should we just paint a picture? Should we just tell them?
Yeah. So let's just drop right into the recap. So, when last we left off, we had completed one leg of the 3 legs of. There's basically 3 hiking trails in this national park. That's what we'll call it. We completed one. We got back. So where we started our session was right after we had taken our long rest and leveled up to level 9. Am I the only one that actually stayed at level 9? Or did we all just go, yeah, it's level 10. It's fine.
I stayed at 9.
All right, good.
No, I moved back down to 9.
All right, good.
After
So-
we got corrected.
We started going down the second path because we're like, well, it's got to be one of these paths, we hope. We got through it. Not through it. We started to get through it, and then somebody rolled properly on the random encounter table, and we got kind of sidetracked with a thing for a centaur.
It
It was
a
a
new
druid.
race.
It was a druid trying to get with a deer centaur.
Yeah. Well, first we
Well-
had heard a sound. Two
Yeah.
people that passed the perception check heard a
Yeah.
sound, and
Yep.
we decided to take the bait and see if that's where our quest is supposed to lead us.
Yeah.
It turned out to be some sort of a 4-legged deer with a human torso, so like a centaur.
Yep.
Behind some sort of foliage. We got hung up on the bush or hanging tree. Like, it was strange. That was
Trying
really
to
funny,
find
though.
food,
Trying to
or
trying to get a picture painted in our heads. Like, wait, bushes are like low though, so how can we see
Yeah,
these 4
yeah,
legs? You know what I mean?
this
It
is
was
where
just
the
it
semantics
was
comes into
comical.
play. Yeah.
It was comical, dude.
Yeah.
But so yeah, and then we see like a well-dressed druid comes up beside us and shushes us and tells us he's researching this creature and to go find out what it is.
Yes.
And I volunteer. He proceeds to druid magic a butterfly walkie-talkie onto my shoulder or ear.
As you do.
As you do. And I go and start this conversation with this obviously startled forest creature.
Something.
And I am proceeded to ask very inappropriate questions towards this female centaur lady.
Yeah.
And I
it
was
was
trying.
amusing.
It was hurt me.
Dude.
Yeah,
it
no,
was
I could
It was so awkward, man. It was
Watching-
so bad.
watching your
awkward. Oh
webcam
my
last night.
God.
I could see the hurt on your face of I don't have enough bleach to cleanse my soul after this.
So I didn't even get it. So like for those of you that don't know, we play over Discord because these two boys and our other player, they're not in the house where the DM and then two of our players are, myself being one of the players.
Yeah.
So we play over Discord. Well, we have a tablet that has Discord on it, right? And so we use the Discord video call, like Zoom call, so on and so forth, with 3 of us in the living room, and then the other 3 doing that. And so it's been my iPad for like where I usually do my character stuff. Well, so I gave that to the DM, and I'm like, here, that way you can see when someone, instead of me going, so and so wants to talk, you can see when that. So I didn't get to see your face. I just had to hear the cringe in your voice as he's like,
Yeah, it's very cringy.
Yeah.
it
So,
was.
As a player, I'm like, okay, this is our next lead. Let's not fuck this up. This is
Yeah.
gonna this is my time to get us to where we need to go and start getting some shit done. Because it was
Yeah.
early in the night and we all wanted to get into a fight or do something, get something,
Get
do player
something.
stuff. Get
Jesus.
something. And so this guy's like, oh, I'll give you 100 gold if you find out what this creature is.
I forgot to add that
Or
to my character sheet.
50 gold.
Yeah.
And then 100 for the inappropriate question. So I
Yeah.
found out what the creature was. I already forgot what I don't have my notes out, but it was some type of new homebrew race, and it was calling for its other people, but it didn't care. It didn't like its other people, but it
was
was
calling for them.
calling to them, and I'm like, well, do you need help finding them? Nope. Okay, well, do you want to come with us? My friends are really nice. Like, we can help
Nope.
you get where you need to go. Nope.
Well.
Okay, can I show you something? And
Nope.
before that, it was like, find out if her pussy's a human pussy or a
Oh,
horse
dude,
pussy.
that was the
Yeah.
worst.
That was the
dude.
part where it
So-
went from okay,
No.
this is strange
So,
to just
so
what the fuck.
there is a reason for it, and it wasn't obvious to me until after the fact. That was a Key and Peele reference.
Oh my god.
The whole
he
encounter
does that
was a,
constantly.
everything. Yeah, everything.
Everything is like
But
this
so-
weird abstract piece of knowledge from some sort of
Yeah. So there was
anything that he's
there was a
watched
Key
or
and
seen.
there was a Key and Peele skit where a guy finds another guy by a tree staring at a chick, and he's like, "Yeah, she's kind of hot, huh?" And he's like, "What is that?" And that's what he was doing. He's like, they were like,
okay.
he's
I'll
like,
have
"Oh,
to
that's
watch
a
that.
female, man. That's a female." He's like, "What do you think is in those jeans?" Because the guy was like, "Man, she got some tight jeans, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Well, it's definitely her vagina." He's like, "What if there's more skin under there?" Like, it's a whole thing. And then when it's done, and he explains what a woman is to this guy, he's like, "Thank you, that is all I require," and then he teleports. So that's literally what happened at the end of this random encounter. Is he went, "Thank you, that is
Yeah.
all I require," and then that's why we saw the Mind Flayer ship zoom off.
Yeah.
'Cause
Okay. It makes more sense now.
In
I
hindsight,
wonder if he like on the fly thinks of that stuff, or if
Nope.
he's like in a week in advance, he's like, that's what I'm gonna do.
that's it. That's
I'm
exactly it
sure.
right there.
I'm sure.
Mhm.
That's so
It's the
silly.
same thing with my world creation where it's you watch something and then you're like, that'd be funny to put in next week's adventure
Uh-huh.
or to do here, and it's like
Yeah,
done.
It doesn't- just
Well,
doesn't make any sense.
anyways, I got a trade out of it. I tried to before the
For
end
a
of the
better item,
conversation.
by the way.
Yeah, awesome. I had a flute of invisibility that while you played it, you turned invisible. So I've been trying this entire campaign to use it like practically to get the drop
Yeah.
on someone, but you can't because you're playing a fucking flute.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
obviously not in performance. It's not one of my tools. It's not
Yeah.
anything about my character.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of a wasted magical wondrous item. And
Yeah. But
this
so-
one's got a 25% chance to one does nothing, two makes the animal stop, and then four does the animals in the vicinity go to
They
protect
create a
whoever's
phalanx
using-
around the user.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to
So
figure out what
three could
3
be-
does.
3 is probably they attack you.
Yeah,
honestly,
probably,
that is
probably. Yeah.
Kyle does his tables. It's like one's really bad, one does nothing, and there's two.
Yeah, but so we got through that, and we got to essentially a Druid Grove. Now, this Druid Grove was modeled after like Wood Elf City. If you could picture that just by me saying Wood Elf City, you probably got it. Giant trees that people live in and around, and so on and so forth. We met a bear.
His name is Poop.
His name was Poop Bear. He wore a blue shirt.
Getting fat.
He was like, we asked him about gangs. He said, because we're, again, in case you haven't like if you haven't been following along with us as we've been doing these, the last campaign or the last quest of this campaign is that we are currently trying to take out these rivaling gangs in the city so that we can bring peace to the city. So, asking this bear, hey, have you found, or do you know if there are any secret hideouts? I was legit being goofy about it. Like, hey, are there any secret hideouts for gang activity? The bear goes, no. I was like, insight. And Amanda, insight. And then, yeah, of course he's lying. And so I was like, all right, man, come on. He's like, you got
As
any honey?
he waddles away.
Yeah. He's like, you got any honey? So I made some honey. Now, technically, I kind of misused the ability, but I tried to make up for it by saying that there was gold flake in it. Because you put gold flake in, like, booze.
Anything
Why not
in it's
honey?
Yeah.
Better. Yeah.
So, did that. Using the Forge Cleric ability, he gave me a big berth for that. Was able to convince him to tell us where this hideout was. Went to the hideout. Was given a riddle that was moderately difficult.
That was actually really clever. I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that.
It was one that I don't know if you guys saw, but I had actually plugged my ears and closed my eyes because everybody was talking, trying to figure out what it could be.
Mhm.
And I was literally visualizing the words like being spelled out. And it was like, come at the beginning of end and at the end of
Beginning.
No, I am
No.
the start of the I am the start of the end
Mm-hmm.
and the end of
Beginning.
something.
No, it
No,
wouldn't
no,
be
no.
beginning because the letter was
No,
E.
I am the beginning of the end was the first
Yeah.
part, and then it was I am the end of another word that ended with E. I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Anyways, maybe the end of before.
Yeah, end of
The end of the before.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so I was visualizing. I was like, oh, it's E. Oh, it opens up. So we go down there. Turns out that one of the quests that we had ignored previously, which was a Fight Club reference, had blown out to where we had caught up to it. And so using some fun stuff, like some good dialogue, we were able to not get hurt and instead find out some information. A little bit of information about like the general location of this gang hideout. We split up, and that was when these two. That's a lead off. You guys go ahead and pick it
Yep.
up.
So Rape is
came
the
up
only
with
one
the
that has natural fly speed, so I didn't want to waste my. I've been wasting spell slots a lot, like how Anthony has with just
Oh, yeah.
okay. I need the answers. Let's get forward.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that with my one class ability, which I
Yeah,
could
yeah, yeah.
turn into an angel and fly for 10 minutes. Probably wouldn't
Yeah.
have gotten up there in 10 minutes.
Probably
I
not.
don't know. I just didn't want to waste it. So we did the whole bag of holding trick. Rape flew up, immediately greeted by someone. I don't even remember
Yeah.
if this dude looked noble. He was just a dude standing
No,
there.
it was just a
and then we
dude.
were like,
It
Just
was
a
just a
dude.
dude.
Yep.
yeah, and we were like, we need
It
a
was just
library
a
or something.
druid.
He's like, didn't want to talk to me because of my.
Because you
No,
went
no,
to
no, no.
Druid.
He asked us specifically, and the DM said he was looking at me, and he says, "Why are you here?" And me not having an idea for why we were there, just
Yeah.
stayed silent until
Yeah.
you came in, and you were like, "I am his vassal. He
Which
is
was
Ravius
great.
Maximus," and I immediately was like. I'm not talking
Dude.
now. Like this entire scene, I'm just going to make motions with my head, and the DM sees it. He sees it. If not, oh
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
and
that
then it was just.
I thought that was a good way for me to be able to try and use my charisma with this guy that obviously immediately doesn't like me because
Yep.
he can.
he could detect your
innately sense-
warlocks.
Yeah, and or my Oathbreaker paladin stuff.
Yeah,
and so
I mean, yeah,
I was like, okay, well, he won me in battle. I'm his vassal. I do his bidding, and you're not permitted to speak to him. Only I
Yeah.
can like.
that was so
whatever.
good.
Yeah,
And he
it
was
was
like,
even to the point.
okay.
It was.
He wasn't
was
ready
even
for
to
it.
the
You
point
caught the DM
of-
off guard. That was so good.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
It was to the point that when I went, you were like,
yeah.
oh,
Oh
my
yeah.
my
Oh,
lord,
yeah.
my lord, recognize
I
you.
heard.
And I was like,
caught
this
that
is
too. That was so
perfect.
good.
Yeah.
That was so fucking good.
We got some information, but it was really hard to pull out because I don't think that he was ready for this sort of like lore drop.
Yeah.
Basically, I was only looking for information in a particular underground tree, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we have no idea." And like, well, do you have history of the other trees? Yep. Anything about this one? Nope. It won't talk to us. I'm like, okay, does it say anything in particular?
Yep.
We don't understand it. And like, well,
And then you persuaded him, and he actually gave up like the
Yeah.
syllables. And luckily,
Yeah.
because you are an Asimar in
yeah.
real life, no,
Yeah.
because you're an Asimar, you speak Celestial innately.
Yep.
And so he was like, you do know this in Celestial.
Yeah.
That
So
it,
we found out that the tree does not like druids because
Yep.
it thinks they smell like wet fur, and
Yeah.
that's it. So maybe we can.
Yeah.
But I don't see where this goes, and that's where I was like really hung up on like, what do we do? Obviously, he wants us to go join the Fight Club,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
which is like finishing up his content that he's like, well, I want him to do it, and they're not going to, so I'm gonna like railroad them in that direction, and we
Sure.
didn't take the bait because it didn't make any sense.
True.
Like they're the people that we're looking for are obviously not here.
Yeah.
Or they're dead. We
Yeah.
found a couple dead ones. But it just didn't make any sense. So
Yeah,
it was kind of
yeah.
hard to,
Well, and
do
then
that.
so that was pertaining to a tangent side quest that we were actively trying to ignore. And I was like, yep, that's totally fine. We're trying to finish this campaign. So
Yeah.
no, we can't follow this. We're past due by like a month.
Literally.
So we need to be going. So you guys, I love how your description was vomiting out of the bag. Just, oh god, it's so horrible in there.
Yeah,
then-
that was fun.
And then just
'Cause
crawling back into a bag of
almost died
holding.
in there.
Yeah.
We almost died in there. So
But
it was like-
crawling back into a bag of holding, all I see is just little feet kicking as you kind of and then just Rabe did like the dopest, like just fall backwards
yeah.
and then down. So we did a hard cut while those two were up there. Our monk went on autopilot for a bit, so the other Oathbreaker and me were down, realizing that we only use Speak with Dead on one being.
Yep.
On one corpse. So there were two other corpses. So we used those two corpses to find out like a much more pointed location of this hideout. And that was where we ended
Tried
it.
to.
Yeah,
That was
was
also pulling teeth because I feel like the mechanics of the spell in that sort of situation, you need to follow them because I feel like he didn't want to
Dude.
just give us the answer, but it was like you
Okay.
wasted 3 level 2 spell slots.
bro. So
Like that
It-
would piss me off.
the spell Speak with Dead has never been used in this campaign properly at all.
I know, but
And I made the argument about it once, but if you're gonna argue with the DM,
yeah,
like
full.
you're
rock.
basically playing a completely different game, right? So I was like, okay, let's just do it your way. That's totally fine. A spirit comes out. It's not the corpse. That's fine. It's the person's spirit. It's not just a hollow husk of like basically the Speak with Dead. You're just speaking to the brain before it died, right? This is not how it was. So they can tell that they don't know you. They can tell you like they ask
that's
you
why
questions,
the first time we
and I'm
tried
like,
to imitate
Uh-huh.
you being you. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what I was like. Well, we're not doing that. Like, what? How is it? Like
mm-hmm.
last time we got, like at least we had to like do deception. You know.
Yeah. which
And
which we still shouldn't even have had to, because if you look at the wording of the spell, it doesn't work like that. But oh, sorry.
whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was that. So we ended there, and it was how do we put this? Interesting. Like it was a good ending for where we were at. I wish we could have had this kind of momentum like 8 weeks ago when we started this fucking thing, and it would have been fucking
It was good RP.
tits.
It was good RP.
Yeah, it was really good. So, while Al is off sending his consciousness to a different porcelain throne, I am assuming, we did pull from the random encounter questions, and we've got 2. Yeah. So, one being, actually, you know what? Let's not. Okay, yeah. So the first question that we got is, how do you impress the fear of death on your players? Is it putting deadly encounters in front of your players, or would you use other methods for exhaustion? Or, I mean, for example, exhaustion is a way to scare your players and to make them like feel like, oh yeah, death is like a thing that I should worry about, as opposed to like D&D in general is like, oh, it's fine. I just go down, shove a health potion in my mouth, call it a day. Or if I die like outright, it'll be fine. You can just revivify. Like being able to literally bring someone back from ultimate death with like an action, 6 seconds is all it takes. It's like, that's crazy. So
Yeah.
you know, no, like it makes your players act a little reckless.
Mhm.
But how would you make players feel kind of scared of of pushing the limit? Or has there been a thing that you've experienced that like is like, oh hey, maybe I should back off a little bit because clearly this person doesn't give a fuck about my player or about my character's life? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
You want me to start?
yeah, go for it.
So first memory I had with like the actual fear of death with my first character, Kaoken, the totem barbarian, wild shape moon druid, was actually when Soul teleported me to my mountain. I wanted to go to my mountain, but he didn't teleport me to
Yeah.
my mountain, and he was very honest, like, I can't do it, but I can try. And I was
It
like, yeah,
might
good
not
enough.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I got teleported way the fuck away.
Mhm.
And
Hey.
I thought this was like, oh, it'll all work out in the end, like just kind of trusting Anthony's campaign to just be like, oh well, I'll like, there's like kobolds, they try to kill my bird, I'll kill them, they ran away, I'm gonna chase them. Oh, they went down a really deep hole, like super deep hole, like 160-foot drop, and then there's like different tunnels off of them. I can hear them down there. I can't see in the dark, so I've got torches.
And the
I'm
holes
strong.
were only exactly 5 feet wide.
Yeah,
And it almost
so it was
made like a
this.
weird grid.
And so the thing that, which I'm grateful that the players didn't like outright and tell me, but like they had already been there before. This was a like kind
Nope.
of recycled area. What? I thought that they had like
So-
they knew something about it. They're like, oh my god, don't go down there. And I'm like, you guys are silly. This is all gonna work out.
So it's actually
And it was-
twofold.
It was.
But keep going.
Yeah. So I'm proceeding to like be the stubborn barbarian and like,
Mhm.
oh well, instead of like just taking the fall damage, I will like drop and then like spread myself out and rage and like stop myself,
Yeah.
tear up my hands, get hurt, but not much.
Yeah.
And it was like I went down like 3 fucking tunnels, and it was like it's getting like louder, or like it was getting more like scary because everyone was like shaking their head on cam like, oh no,
Yeah.
oh no. And I genuinely started to get like, I am isolated.
Uh-huh.
I am running out of my rage
Oh,
slots.
yeah.
I am like, I don't have healing, except
No.
for a healing word. But like I was like, I'm pretty strong, but like I
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
I'm feeling my mortality, and there's no one that can help me.
Oh
Um,
man.
But yeah, ended up okay. This is not good. Climbed my way out, and then at the end of the night, I found out that it was Beholder's Lair.
Yeah,
and
okay,
it was
good.
like And that's
Yeah.
when I was like, "What's the beholder?" Looked that up and was like, "There's no way I would I would ever be able to like surprise it into
Yeah.
beating it, especially with like the abilities that they have, which is like so strong against a barbarian. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna fear me into a corner and just shoot me
mean,
with their laser eyes.
But also,
Um,
you know, if you were a mage, that would be worse because
Yeah.
anti-magic
And they-
cone
yep.
and all of the. But yeah,
Yep.
no, I was fully
was-
prepared to throw you against a beholder
from
one-on-one.
that
Well, it would
moment
have been
on, I
like,
was yeah,
Yeah.
from that moment on, I was definitely like, I don't
'cause
think I should just do
you get-
things willy nilly.
you guys were like level 15, I think.
Yeah, we were pretty strong, and I had
Mhm.
never gone down in combat. I was pretty much a pussy barbarian with like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm not gonna charge at him. There's too many of them. I'm gonna
Yeah.
throw javelins.
the guy with
Yeah.
with essentially 300 hit points. Yeah,
Yeah, I was, but I'm that character was a good safe character, so I didn't have to like die. But
Yeah.
feeling that like for the first time, where it's like, oh wow,
Oh,
okay.
dude. Yeah.
But if
Coming
I were
against-
to, oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, coming against your mortal weakness, which I believe the beholders can put a lot of intelligence and wisdom saves on you. Coming against that is not good when you're playing
Yeah.
a character, and that will scare the shit out of any player.
Well, for
Go ahead
one,
and finish.
Beholder is one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic,
Yeah.
D&D monster. Everybody knows
For sure.
that's a fucked monster to go up against. 2, you were alone. 3, I asked you 3 times specifically, are you sure you
that's-
want to
yeah.
go down there? And you
Yeah.
were, so what you didn't know,
It was a confident yes.
no,
Then like,
what you didn't know is
yeah.
that I had muted you. I told everybody else, hey guys, it's a beholder. Let's see what happens. And
Oh my God, that's
they went,
why.
Yeah.
no, get
That's
out of there. You
why.
need to leave. And I was like, no,
that's
it's okay.
why.
Yeah,
Because
because
no one like no one
I've-
outright like told me, but I
Mhm.
could read the room.
I've
Yeah,
always
definitely.
I've always impressed. I've always tried, or I always tried to impress, at least in the campaign, was like, look, you can do what you want. I'm going to ask you if you're sure. I will give you all the rope you need, and you can figure out how to make a noose out of it. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
was like, all right, here we go. And then after that, once you went, oh wait, let me just get out of here. And I was like, okay,
Yeah,
you
this
will
is
never go
obviously
back
isn't-
there. Because that was actually the only way to get to that was how you got to heaven. Literally, that mountain range is how you get to heaven. And that beholder is the guardian to get to heaven.
Oh.
So you beat him, you could have gone to Elysium, right? That's always been, and it will always be in my game. And I have no problem telling you guys about that, because
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
most of the time you probably won't want to anyways. But
Yeah.
After you got out of there and you went back, you're like, okay, I gotta go back. I'm like, yeah, how are you gonna teleport? You just asked the sorcerer to just teleport you with no thought of how you're gonna get back. And I don't have plot rings in my
Mhm.
game. Like, you
Yeah.
literally, if you remember, had the plot ring, or no, Fortis had the plot ring put on him to teleport him to the sewers where we were all at in this
Right.
campaign. And I was like, I don't have that. I was like, don't know how you're
Yeah.
gonna get back, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
You better start. And so
Yeah.
when you got back, you actually ended up fighting that Starspawn mage. And
Mhm.
that
Yeah. Well, that's when I ran across that I think that was the
Mhm.
recycled content where people had like, oh no, like another like, oh shit, and like, well,
they noped the
then
fuck out of
Your
there.
NPC came and like helped me, saved me because they were looking for me.
He tried. He got paralyzed. You got paralyzed, and both of you almost died to it until one of you broke, and you were like, I can't get close to him. I don't know how to beat him. And he's like, help me. And you're like, oh. Then you like assisted him, gave him advantage, and then he fucking got out of his paralysis and had a scroll of teleportation. Because
Yeah,
it was
got-
time. It
got
was
me
time to
back to the
start the
military.
last
Yeah.
mission.
Yeah.
And oh, dude, that was yeah. That is. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Really quick though, if I were to do this,
Yeah.
being not a DM but aspiring, I would do a little bit of all of the methods, exhaustion, puzzles. But for me personally, I would like to reward a character with like something that they wanted or that they needed,
Mm-hmm.
and then have the fear of losing it, because it's like I gotta get out of this with this thing. like I can't fail. You know,
That's
that
good.
would make
Yeah.
me drive and me be scared of like, oh,
Yeah.
I know this is my thing. I need it for the rest of the game. You know what I mean?
That's a good
Or like
callback.
what?
That's a good callback to, I think it was last episode, or maybe the episode before last episode of this podcast, where we were talking about how some DMs have spammed that missing equipment button.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, dude, if you can get it, you can have it taken away. And that's real good for, like, god tier item. I'd
Right. Well, if
actually...
you're like in a kobold dungeon or something like that, and they're constantly picking on you while you're trying to take a short rest and
Yep.
stealing something from you, or you know, and then you're getting exhaustion.
Yeah.
You're low on hit points. Like your stress levels start to go up,
Oh,
and
yeah, they do.
that would make me like want to keister it.
Fuck yeah,
Hopefully
dude.
it's not a great sword.
Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not a flame tongue. Please don't be a flame tongue.
Yeah.
But what about you, Al? How would you impress the fear of death on your players? Because I know you've got the campaign coming up, and it doesn't sound like you're gonna hold our hand. But I also
No. So the thing is to, for me, the thing is to have a class that's like yours. So for example, I've talked about it a few times on the podcast, I think, but I have a rival system in place for my games.
Oh yeah.
And basically it's just, this is your character with a different twist on it, and oh, there's a secret that they have that you don't know about. On top of having a class that can almost directly counter your guys's.
Yeah.
Having more numbers can also, like, if you go into a barbarian encampment and there's 10 barbarians and you have 8 players, you go, no problem, we can handle this. Nothing. If there's 20 orcs, now that seems a bit bigger. And if you just keep adding more numbers, even if you don't use them all, it's enough to scare the players away from going to that point if you don't want them to.
Yeah.
If you go, yeah, here's a dungeon. Oh, there's a giant beholder. The guy outside tells you there's one giant beholder down there. You're like, nothing. We got 5 players in the party, and we're all level 10. We can beat that shit, no problem.
Yeah.
If you go, there's 5 beholders. That one that they thought they could take is now 5. The numbers already, they like
That's
any
terrifying.
player, even a murder hobo, will sit there and go through the numbers in their head and go, our action economy cannot compete. We cannot go against that. On top of that,
Yeah, you'd be
role-play
fine.
consequences.
Yeah.
Having, if your players are going into a, for example, in my campaign, if you guys are going to a system where you have already pissed off the noble house in, already you have people going against you. On top of that, having consequences for, if you fail a dialogue check, this person now draws a gun. Now this situation has gone from, hey, I'm just chatting with a dude, to this guy has a gun drawn on me and I only have a sidearm.
Oh sure.
What can I do here?
Yeah.
Having stuff like that where getting them unexpectedly helps the players kind of do that. And then maybe not killing them off, but showing them the power that you can kill them off if you want to, and making them lose body parts. I know.
You're giving them the old Stockholm syndrome. I could kill you at any time. You better love me.
More
for not
like
killing you.
not really, but more or less, yeah. Like, I mean, so
Yes.
for example, it used to be like, for example, Emiko, when she started in your campaign, my last character in your campaign, had an eye patch because her lore was a dragon clawed her eye out.
Yep.
Now, if you think about it, a dragon's claw should rip her entire fucking head off, but
maybe it was just a nick.
give or take,
There
yeah,
you go.
exactly. You know,
Give me that.
whatever.
yeah.
I want that eye.
Yeah, exactly.
Good snack.
Exactly.
Give me more eyeballs.
Jeezy
But-
Pete's.
But so like like I believe it's supposed to be, if your characters lose parts, like if you lose an ear, suddenly your perception checks are at a disadvantage. Same thing with like losing an eye, losing an arm. So they can't, like, yes, they can get a prosthetic arm, but they have to get used to that prosthetic arm, and that's going to take how many weeks to do?
True.
And you might go into combat next session, which is 1, maybe 2 long rests away. So yeah, you're gonna have disadvantage on your attack rolls. Doing stuff like that makes your players go a bit cautious. If you're just trying to scare the shit out of them, just remind them that there's always falling rocks that magically appear in the sky.
I mean,
They'll be
rocks
scared
fall,
shitless.
Everyone dies.
And if they go, yeah, sure thing. Make the rocks drop, bitch.
Yeah. All right. Well, give me some acrobatics checks. Yeah. I see what you're saying. So it's a little heavy-handed, is what you're saying. Like if it gets to the point where they're not respecting death enough to, or they're not like afraid of losing their character enough to where they're not to where they're like flaunting it. Like, you know, we make the joke in game of having plot armor.
Yeah.
Right. Like I've literally had, like, my character has literally used that, like as a one-liner while killing someone who was supposed to like be.
Yeah, that was funny because you're like, he was like, "How are you still alive?" And you're like, "I've got plot armor."
And and then Dan's character fucking Eldritch blast through the head. Well, like, yeah. So
it was almost like the start of New Vegas.
Oh yeah,
Truth is, kid, the game was rigged from the start.
Yes.
Honestly, we could just start pulling out quotes like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think the DM would bat an eye because he doesn't really challenge it. He really doesn't challenge us. He's never like, yes, Rabe
not
dies
like that. Not in that way. He doesn't. There's
never like there's only been one time where I'm worried like I might have Rabe die permanently tonight because I am on my last saving throw for death. And I am 2 for 2 on both sides. I've got 2 strikes and 2 balls.
Nutty.
And this is not looking good.
Yeah.
And I barely passed because someone gave me advantage on it.
Yeah.
That was the only reason why I survived. Other than that, no one's really been challenged and worried about their character dying.
True.
Your campaign was kind of the same, but at the same time, you had got us in the mindset of, you guys are chosen champions from different time periods.
It's a different.
You are
beast,
chosen for this. Yeah. Whereas this, we're just random guys put together.
And
so why are we not fearing death as much? And
Very
that's
much
the
so.
problem is the DM hasn't given us anything that really challenged us this year.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a few times where we've gotten really close and we almost all had us all going down.
Yeah.
But it's never been so out of sight that I've been like, I might have to pull up one of my other characters. Let me go to them on D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
never been anything like that.
I like that.
I kind of want to transition to a point in between the two campaigns where you guys aren't chosen, but you guys have a few NPCs on your side that you can help you with. Like if you guys know you're going into a combat mission, I need Al to come in because, hey, he's got a fucking minigun on his back. I think he's pretty good in combat. Or, you know, we might need to heal some people while down there. I'll get the Medicaid to come with us.
Or we might need a diplomat to help.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that.
Yeah. So so as far as actually impressing the fear of death, you're talking about being a little heavy-handed until people realize, oh, hey, we should take this seriously. Because not being afraid for your character means ultimately that you won't take the game seriously. And if you don't take the game seriously, then some people aren't going to have fun. I get that.
It's fine to have a campaign where everyone is laughing and everyone is joking about everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you've built a world for multiple years and you're finally bringing it to use and your characters are just strolling around the world or galaxy acting like, oh yeah, 9 to 5 job, cool, I'll come back next week and we'll do the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Throw bigger numbers at them. Make them scared. Make them realize that this is your world and they are just people in it. You know, if you're trying to go for that. If you're trying to go for the light, happy atmosphere, then do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then just nerf or buff the monsters as you see fit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, so speaking of, well, we've been talking a lot about like using monsters, using a lot of high-level monsters. High-level monsters are usually put up against high-level PCs. So in that aspect, how do you challenge high-level PCs in D&D specifically? Like, you get to a certain point, once you get past level 10, you're able to warp reality around you. You're able to like, you can command, like, so by the time we get to 11th level, hold on one sec here. By the time we get to 11th level, I can literally use the like my paladin can literally use the spell Gias, which and block. Okay, there we go.
You get some cool mechs with that shit.
Yeah, that's what I said. But if you remember, so some people call it geish, right? I don't.
Yeah.
I call
that
it.
Sounds gay.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly.
That sounds gay-ish.
So, I like having watched that show a few times, Gias. Because in code Gias, you can literally tell someone what to do. There's like a whole like triggering mechanism behind it, and then it takes a certain amount of time. So I can literally make people do what I gotta do, or what I want them to do. Otherwise, they take 5d10 psychic damage, and that's just a level 5 or a level 6 spell. 5 spell.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's not like an end game spell. But that's a lot of damage where most like NPCs are. Oh, thank you. Where most NPCs are just like normal, right? So
Yeah.
How is it that you guys have or would challenge a high level PC? Because you guys have both been high level PCs. You guys have been all the way up to level 20. Granted, the last ones were kind of shoehorned, sure. But like a lot of shit that I threw against you guys that should have been not easy were a cakewalk. And then there were a few things that I threw at you guys that were supposed to be like a walk in the park, turned into like a 4-hour combat session. Just like, Jesus. So how would you guys do that? How would you guys challenge your PCs?
Well, so that's supposed to be the thing, is when like the level system is almost supposed to be a gauge of where you are power wise. Level 1, you're just Joe Schmo from the park. You aren't different from anyone else. Level 10, you're supposed to be like, when people need help, the first name they think of is you.
Yeah.
Or if you're playing an evil campaign, then when people are scared, the first thing they think of is you.
Yeah.
Level 20, you're supposed to be like level 15 to 20. That's when you start ascending into like, you are the legend. Like people know of you across the country.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a thing. I don't want to say this was wrong in your campaign, but that was kind of a thing that feels off in both this campaign and your campaign was we got to these higher levels and it still seemed like we were just, oh yeah, that's a dude. That's a person. Cool. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
If you're trying to go for that setting. But if I am level 20 and I've got a halberd and I've got awesome fucking top-notch armor and I'm going against god monsters, then I should be treated like a fucking god myself.
True.
Am I not? Like, or if not close to it.
Yeah.
At that point, when they're getting at level 15, start throwing out the big named monsters, Tiamat, boss monsters like that. Turn it from a regular campaign to this is now you saving the world because this is your world and the gods have recognized you. That is why you are getting access above level 15.
Yeah.
And have every other NPC that they've met up until this point be capped at level 15 and have that be your threshold of cool. Like that's where regular mortals stop. The only reason why you're going to level 20, buddy, is because the gods looked at you and said, that guy's got fucking potential. We're going to move him up. Okay. You know, you got moved up into upper management. At that point, have the monsters and the quests start taking on more drastic turns where it's not just a goblin encampment. It's now trolls, orcs, like there's ogres and stuff like that.
So you're talking about basically just hiking up the stakes, making the stakes of what your players do bigger than where they started. I like that. What about you, Dan?
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna finish off with, at that point, it should feel like they're now protecting the world and therefore fighting Tiamat, fighting an entire tribe of orcs and stuff like that. that shouldn't feel out of the question because they are the protectors of this world.
Yeah.
So give them those high-level enemies, give them high-grade loot, give them keeps and stuff like that. Throw villages that will be like, we pledge like loyally to you, not the king, to you.
Yeah.
Make
like
them
that.
feel like that, and then raise the stakes even more each time.
Yeah.
It's going to get hard, but there's a reason why they have gods and devils and all those things statted. So when your players get to that point, they can go, oh fuck, we're at that level. It's time to fight Tiamat, boys. You know.
Yeah. I like that. Dan.
With my limited experience in this game, I think what I've learned the most that is the hardest to deal with is action economy. So I feel like the fear of death, even if you're a level 20, if it wasn't Tiamat and it was 20 things to fight that we all know one are hard, or there's one of those and then a bunch of like minions
adds,
and in the first turn we go down half health after just each one of them take 3 attacks per character. Like that to me is scarier because like you have to retreat, you have to use better tactics, you have to surprise, you have to because we've always done a pretty well versed party composition where we've got a caster, we've got a healer, we've got a sneaky person, we've got a whatever, and when it's like no one can shine in whatever encounter, it's like, oh crap, this isn't working, like we need to go, like if you're gonna be stubborn and stay, you will die because we're leaving. That to me is like, and we haven't really been like put in those situations. Most of the things that we have to like go up against, it's like you got to do it. But I feel like that would be an eye opener. Like you're chasing the big bad evil guy to his lair. You know what I mean? Like he's got resources. That maybe you could throw in some mechanics to like give the player some hope, like with like, oh, you guys see suspicious looking alchemy supplies with like big X's on the side of it, and you could assume that it's explosive. You know what I mean? And they're running past that. What do you do? Thin the numbers or completely ignore my free damage to the ads? You know what I mean? Something like that, where it's like, oh, we should have taken that bait. Now we just have to like muscle through it or die, or run away.
I like that.
So that to me is an eye opener, because being level 20 is great, but if there's 100 goblins against one level 20, because I used to do this just to get better with my characters, like, okay, I'm gonna put a minotaur, 3 goblins, 1 kobold, archer, and like I would do a battle by myself and like read their sheets and like, okay, well it makes the most sense for them to just eat away at distance because my character's not distance. They can obviously see that. And to me it was like I killed myself a lot in those encounters because I realized that like they've got more turns than I do. I can only hit twice. I can only rage and do that sort of a thing. So to me it was numbers. Like I can hit hard, but I can't do any big sweeping attacks to like final or dynasty warriors through ads.
Okay.
So
and
to me that.
So and that's the thing is even with the fighter. With all of his stuff going on, all of that stuff going on, you're getting that max 8 attacks per turn.
Sure.
You throw that against 100, let's say zombies, for example.
Zombies is a good example.
So you've got 8 attacks to their
even if it's
100.
Even if every attack hits and they
Which,
all
as
have 1
we know,
HP, you still have 100 of them. And how many times can you use that ability? At level 20, I think you can use it twice per long rest. So you get 16 attacks and then that's it.
Oh, sure.
Then you're back down to your 4 attacks per turn. And guess what? They're still crowding around you. Numbers can be dangerous. Another thing I wanted to say, Dan, that you brought up was the idea of retreat. I think allowing your players to retreat and always making sure that they know that option is available, and don't punish them when they retreat.
Right.
If they're running, like if they as a whole say, we need to tactically retreat now, and one starts running away, let the bad guys start laughing at them as they run.
Yeah.
Right.
but
Yeah.
don't chase them.
Mhm.
Just to be like,
I have a question
we haven't
about
even
that.
shown our full forces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll make them think twice.
So
Exactly.
there's a couple of interesting things just from an outside perspective that you guys have both brought up. The first one being retreat. Now, I've been in this situation explicitly as a DM and as a player, where as a player we've gone up against overwhelming odds, and
Yeah.
we've made a plan to retreat, and then nobody did.
Yeah.
I've been no now. Also, I've also been in the DM side of it where I've been like, look, you guys can always run away. You don't have to stay here. Like, I'm not gonna make you guys fight something that's going to kill you, but I'll tell you guys, like, hey, look, this is gonna get real hairy. Remember, retreat's always an option. Yeah, you're right. Retreat's an option. Let's fight. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. No, that's the thing is,
As good of advice as that is, when it comes to players in combat, man, dude, most times, like, I had to go out of character to tell you out of character to get the fuck out, so Eridan could, like, hold these guys back as you were being paralyzed, and like, I'm like, fucking run, get out, everybody but you is God, you know what I mean, like stuff like that. So it's like, players in the heat of battle are usually like, no, we can kill it, we're in combat and we're the good guys, so we can kill it. So showing overwhelming force is always a good thing, because that way, if it's so overwhelming, they're like, there's no fucking way that we can beat this, like, we gotta go. That's where you can be like, yeah, you guys can totally run, I'm not gonna keep you here. But I'm like, also, as a DM, I like, I've said the words, yeah, you guys can always run. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. Like, all right, well, hey man, it's up to you guys. Whatever you want to do, that's totally fine by me. But I've personally become a little more cerebral in my thinking, where I've started challenging, like, you guys as players with your character sheets, like Sphinx riddles, puzzles. If you guys remember, there was a random encounter dungeon that you guys came across, the Skull King's dungeon, or the Skull Lord's dungeon, and there were a set of 3 puzzles. You guys each took a door. One was fairly easy, with Kaioken against a arm wrestling Minotaur statue. One was Saul in the rotating door, or the rotating room with doors, trying to figure out which one. And then I think, then there was the tilting floor one, and like, your characters didn't really like have a thing for any of those. It was more to challenge you guys as players, because for me at least, at higher levels, Daniel, you actually brought up last week about killing Celia, a former PC, because she had like a 34 to stealth. It's like, yeah, at high levels, you guys have 34 plus 34s to things if you're optimized. You have a plus 20 something to, you know what I mean? Like, it gets to that point where it's like, oh, insight check, natural 20 for a 59. And it's like, okay, well, how the fuck am I supposed to have any NPC ever lie to you guys? Or investigation? Right. How am I supposed to hide any traps from any of you guys? So, for me, it became, make it, like, not obvious, but make it a teaser for your brain. Instead of like just for your characters, because that's the only way that I noticed once you guys hit like level 12, I think it was, and up, there was nothing I could throw at you guys that you wouldn't just clean house, because I didn't want to like bust out 500 minis and like put you guys in there. We did that for that one shot, and that was fine, but even that was like, oh man, that was such a slog.
That was kind of a gruel. Yeah,
it was rough, man. So overwhelming numbers is a good way for people to go, oh fuck, our action economy is like fucked completely. because that's how our group plays. But also like not just in combat. For me, it's like one of the questions that I had up here for this was like a thing that I had done early on in the campaign, and then I stopped doing completely because it didn't make any sense. But I had actually started scaling difficulty checks for you guys. So we started at level 4, right? At the campaign, my first campaign, we started at level 4 so that way everybody could have a feat. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I see that some of you players have like a plus 11 to this skill here. So I'll just bring that up a bit. I'll bring the DC up to like a 17 as opposed to a 10. Well, what was the challenge? Oh, drink a cup of water. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, give me a dex check. It'll be a 17, which is insane when you think about how difficulty is supposed to work in D&D. And I was like, I started to do that because I was like, how can I challenge these guys to do anything? And I was like, okay, well that just seems ridiculous. That's not like fun. At that point, what's the point of having a static difficulty check? At that point, a 25 would be for, you know, opening a door, not for trying to pick an arcane lock, right? Mm-hmm. But that was just why what I like a thought that I had was like, yeah, I like to start challenging you guys, putting up like riddles. You know what I mean? Riddles really take your brain power. Otherwise, it would be an investigation check, and then I just tell you the answer.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
No, it's good.
So you guys ready to go to the character comparison?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm literally making a hero forge for this character. I will play it someday.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we shouldn't put a hero forge like model together, and then like we can kind of showcase that because we don't have like art.
That would be, I think, for next session that would be great. And like maybe next week have our characters have our models for this character, and then next week's character as well. Because like thinking about it, this was supposed to be. I'll get into it later, but like my character model would be so cool. Yeah,
well, you know what? Whoa, my puppy. Oh god, she's trying to attack me.
You know what?
Through the door.
My puppy has turned into a mimic. Son of a bitch.
So yeah, I know exactly right. So, let's just get right into the character concept comparison. We've got this segment is going to be a weekly addition to this podcast. We will pick a class, and then we'll each come up with our own character in our own free time throughout the week for that class. So the rules that we have are as follows. The base class has to be what we pick, obviously, and we're going in alphabetical order. So this week is Barbarian. Next week, I believe, will be Cleric. You can multi-class, but only up to 2 level dip, because that way you're still keeping, like, I want to go 1 level in Barbarian and then 5 levels in Wizard. You're a wizard, right? So we're only building the character up to level 6 because that's when like it's kind of interesting. Most classes just come online at that point. We'll create a short backstory for that character, integrating one of the standard background examples from the source material, so that way you can kind of get a gauge of what are these fucking backgrounds even for, and then how would that affect the characters that we've made. For the items, you can have 2 magic items of uncommon or lower rarity, so uncommon or common. Wondrous items are gray area, and then pretty much all magic items that say rarity varies in D&D Beyond, they will usually have like a tier list of like where they stand in uncommon or common. So again, so this way we don't end up with a what are those called? Like an orb of dragon kind. You know what I mean? Like, oh well, yeah, mine just summons dragons. Like a level 6 character would totally summon dragons.
Or of Valhalla, it's a platinum one, no big deal.
Yeah,
so
that's totally fine.
The way that I've been doing it is the most that I go up for a magical item is a green. Like that's it.
Yeah,
because
greens, right?
I don't know.
Is
All
because
I know is
to me,
says...
unless it's a heritage item, which I don't want these characters to have, I just want it to be you can get this character in any campaign, and the DM should not make a fuss at this level.
Yeah.
That's my idea behind these characters. So I've just gone, the most items that you'll get is 2 greens. Yeah. Anything above that, you're not going to get.
I totally forgot that they color code. so I've just been literally looking at like the parenthesis like level.
Oh.
But regardless, you can have one piece of armor, which would be like studded leather or plate or whatever, unless you're using a shield that doesn't count as your armor. So that way you're not making like, I wanted to make a paladin with full plate, but I wanted to also make him a shield user. So he wears a loincloth and a shield. A single weapon to be used, like flavored as like their iconic weapon if you want. Just another way to add some extra character. Because when you create a character, you have starting equipment, and everybody's going to go with more or less their starting weapon will be the type of weapon that they want to use. One pack item. So, you know, Dungeoneers pack, Adventuring pack, Explorers pack, and then 100 gold pieces worth of other items. Last week, I had said that I wanted to do that because last week's character for mine wanted to create a bolo to use his spell to throw a bolo to tie people up. So why don't you just take us right into it? Actually, here, let's go ahead and go straight to the ethereal realm of our... Whoa, there we are.
Whoa!
Now-
Magical transition.
Welcome to the Shadow Realm, Yugi. All right, so we've got Urzu the Emerald. Why don't you tell us about Urzu the Emerald, and I'll try to keep track so that way I can
So
have the
I
screen
really
up.
didn't. Last week I went heavy into the role play aspect of the character.
Very true.
This week I wanted to just go, cool. This person, minimum backstory. Like this is just kind of like an anime protagonist. Bland, boring. You can hop right into it. Plus 3 to strength, 16 in strength, 13 in dex, 15 in constitution, 10 in intelligence. So he's got a
Oh, hey,
an even-
sorry. We ran into this last week. Is there any... Did you resave the character sheet? Because I'm not getting any of the backstory information or anything like that.
No. When I sent it to you, all of that. Oh, I haven't put anything in the notes, but the description
Oh,
has
okay.
the bonds and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I really
all right.
didn't put anything in the notes. It's just kind of
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
No. Good.
like
Good. That's
more
just
so
my bad from last
more
time.
so last time was just I had it written down elsewhere on a document writer.
Yeah.
This time it's just the idea behind the character is used to serve in the military, at some point got captured and subjugated,
Okay.
and then was basically thrown into arena, like a gladiatorial arena,
Okay.
and then just fight against animals. And then the idea of it would be people come into, like, someone would play this character, and then they would just go, "Oh yeah, the party rescued me at some point from this
Oh, yeah.
gladiatorial arena."
Nice.
So personality traits: I'm full of inspiring and cautionary tales from my military experience, relevant to almost every combat situation. I can stare down a hellhound without flinching because of his military experience.
Yeah.
And I almost want it to be like, not like a father to the party, but almost like a guardian. He's a front line, so of
Sure.
course he's going to be kind of protective.
Yeah.
And then he's been fighting in the gladiatorial arena so long that like he could face down a devil without flinching, because
Yeah.
I'm mad, you die. That's it.
I've seen it all.
ideals-
Nothing scares me anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea of it is, yo, I got put against like my fellow soldiers, everything that you could think of, I've fought. So ain't nothing gonna scar this guy. Ideals is in life, as in war, the stronger force wins. That says it's supposed to be evil, but to me, I'm just like, no, might makes right. That's how this person would think. Like, first off, Dragonborn, in my opinion, I like to play Dragonborn as stubborn. Like,
Yeah.
as hard mentally as they are their scales.
Yeah.
It is hard to change any of my Dragonborn's minds, because the way that I'm doing it is right, and the way that you're saying to do it is wrong. Fuck you, we're going my way. You want to fight about it? Cool. Punch me,
What do you
bitch.
wanna-
Try
Yeah,
me.
exactly. Okay, I got you.
Bonds are those who fight beside me are those worth dying for. Just because frontline character, you're
Yeah.
gonna be taking the brunt of the battle. Why are you taking that for a random party? Because they are fighting with you. So therefore, you
Of
have to have
course.
a bond that complements that. And then his flaw is my hatred of my enemies is blind and unreasoning. And the
Oh, yeah.
idea of that is when he enters a rage, he
Yep.
doesn't care.
Exactly.
Anything from him to his arch nemesis over there, dead.
Yeah.
All of it. If you get in his way, you better take the extra dash action to get the fuck out of there. 'cause
Maximum
you're gonna get
effort.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Well-
gonna get stumbled. you know. I chose whatchamacallit? I chose Path of the Beast just
All right.
because it gives Urzu the ability to fight with bite, claws, tail. And to
Yeah.
me, I'm like, as someone who would fight in a gladiatorial arena, you are using whatever is given to you. While he prefers axes to smash, 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 when it
Yeah.
comes to it, he can smack the shit out of you with his tail, bite down on your neck, and rip your arms off with his claws.
Nice.
Why not? That was the main motivation behind going for Path of the Beast. Was I just wanted to make like ex-military guy who out of battle has wise stories, but once you get him into the action, it's just a blind beast. He is there to kill, and that's it. Point him in the direction, give him 2 axes, watch him kill. That's it.
Damn. Me gusta. I like that a
Yeah.
lot. And then, you
And then the
gave
breath
him-
weapon on top of that, I really didn't care for it, but I was just like, what else is better than after you like rip someone from head to toe, then you just roar into the air and let your breath weapon out. It's a waste of it, but cinematically,
Yeah,
it's cool
yeah.
as shit. If I am fighting with Balthazar and I just hear after he's killed someone and I look over to him and he's breathing fire in the air, I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, Balthazar, you did fucking good.
I think we've done that more than a few times. I like that. So for equipment, you gave him what did you give him here?
I gave him a battle axe of warning, an armor of gleaming breastplate, which never gets dirty.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's probably like from his like war days, and then just another battle axe because he is a dual wielder, and so because of that, he gets +1 bonus to AC while he's wielding 2 separate melee weapon in each hand.
Wait a second here.
What?
Oh,
Thanks,
nope.
sir.
I was thinking of something else. I was
Great
like,
axe.
I was thinking of great axe. I was like, wait, is a battle axe?
No,
a
see, I made
two-handed?
that
Can't
mistake.
use a great sword and
made
a
that
shield.
I made that mistake yesterday. I had him with 2 great axes originally, and then
I
I was like,
gotcha.
oh wait, these are 2-handed, so he
Yeah.
can't do that. But battle axes are 1-handed,
Yep.
and although they're not, I believe they're versatile. But even
They
if
are,
they
yeah.
weren't, because they're not light, he can still use them 1-handed because of the dual wielder feat.
Ah, okay. So that's what you gave him was the dual wielder feat. Because I was gonna say, I'm like 2-weapon fighting. I'm fairly certain it has to be a light in the offhand. But yeah, okay. Fucking sick. Nice. I like it.
That's
I
my
like
guy.
it.
Like, and yeah,
optimized.
there's not a lot of backstory, but at the
But
same time,
you
there doesn't
gave him
need to
some.
be.
Yeah, no, that's good. You gave him.
What I
you
like
gave him.
about that. Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead,
no,
man.
please, go ahead. I'm usually
What I
just
like
Phil
about-
talk.
What I like about that is you could potentially throw your battle axes and then go in with your beast form.
Yeah,
That's exactly like that's
You
the
know.
other idea is if there are too many guys in the way, throw breath weapon in the middle
Yep.
and then just charge in and then beat like
and then pick them
that's
up
the
on the
idea
way
of it
in
is
and get back to business.
the
Ooh.
tougher and tougher the battle is, the more bestial he
Dude,
will
that-
become, to the point
Right.
of why do I have these in my hands? I have
Yes.
claws.
Yeah.
Throw,
exactly.
breath weapon at another guy, and then everyone else in that vicinity better start
Dude.
fucking running.
That just gave me goosebumps. That was good.
That's cool. I like that.
And the advantage on initiative means that because he's such a primal being, like you could flavor it as he's such a primal being that he's got a faster like reaction. He's already like when you get into combat, he's cocked and ready to go. So that advantage on your initiative from the battle axe of warning, that's dude, please play this. Please play this character.
You should do one-shots of these characters. 'cause they're fun.
for sure.
Fuck yes. Oh my god, that is great. I like the armor plate of gleaming because what is that called? Parade armor, I think, is what like knights and shit used to have, where it's like super shiny and
and that's the thing.
But he just wears it now. That's fucking...
the only description of it is it never gets dirty, and I'm like, yeah.
That's
I
the
like that
whole part
idea.
of it.
I like this. I like the idea of this guy, this dragonborn, just ripping into people, and as he's doing it, almost like the armor is polished every second. Blood, like you know how like waterproof leather and stuff like that. water will just like slide off. I
Bead right
imagine
off
that
it,
with
yeah.
blood. It sprays on, and then it just drips.
Dude, that's
So
fucking
his
great.
feet are just fucking covered in blood.
Yeah.
Everything else, though,
Yeah.
shining like a
Dude.
fucking gem.
Sick. That
Nice.
is fucking epic. I like that. All right. Shall we? Let's talk about, how do you pronounce it?
So I used fantasy name generator, and this is the so I tried
How
to
do
start this
you
character
pronounce it?
Tion.
Tion Rageheart.
Yeah, so I tried to find some lore about these people,
Yeah.
and I couldn't find a lot, so I kind of just made up my own.
There you go.
How I'm, obviously I didn't put any background or features. I did a custom background for mechanics, but so I'm imagining this pride of people, like his pact,
All right.
is a group of monster hunters, and what they do is when they dispatch a monster, they use its corpse to weave intricate kind of like wind chimes or like what are dream catchers
Oh
to
yeah.
like ward off the other creatures.
Sure.
Because my idea of them is they're a roaming pack that like go off on like expeditions, kill
Oh
things,
yeah.
and bring the stuff back and like use it, make things out of it, and what they don't like use for building materials or armor or weapons, they would turn into um, sort of trinkets and stuff. So that's why I have
Yeah.
weaver's tools. But for this person in particular, uh, the expedition or hunting party gets just demolished by something that they weren't prepared for.
Yeah.
And in his like survival of trying to like hide away from this creature, like through the course of however long, comes across a fallen adventurer, which
Okay.
in his equipment he finds this corpse with an adamantine half plate because mechanics, those are
Because
nice.
mechanics, yep.
And then he gets his first like the rest of his character develops from the Great Sword of Vengeance, which is a cursed item. So he becomes like attuned to this cursed item, and from that he gets a feat. Mechanically speaking, he'll get a feat at level 6, which would be Warlock Initiative. So that this great sword is giving him something that he typically wouldn't have through his barbarian lineage, through his pact. And which so the idea is to like never really unattune to this to make the warlock stuff make sense.
Yeah, of course.
But you know, you're cursed, so if you get attacked, you are gonna rage and you're gonna want to kill whoever attacked you.
Mm-hmm.
Or anyone really. Like if it was a player character that were to like hit him for whatever reason, he physically could not stop to it. Like I would have to attack you back and hurt you until you had submitted.
I like
And then
yes, I like the
then-
self-imposed.
Yeah, so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
sorry, like you'll learn, I guess. But the one thing I did find out about these races is they're similar to Goliaths, where they're very
Yes.
like challenging, and they will
Strong.
if they don't respect you, they'll
Yep.
show it. And
Yep.
to them, competition and fighting is like how you develop relationships.
Yeah.
And so like him being like, if that were to happen and it's squashed, it's like I won or I lost, and that's where we stand. It's over.
Yep.
It's done. You know. So I kind of appreciated that with this sort of like flaw where it's like it's not that big of a deal. I hit you, you hit me.
Yeah.
It's over. When like
100%.
I was stronger today, you know, or you
Yeah.
were stronger. Let's move on.
I like it.
And so for his warlock spells, let me back up. He's totem, and I've played totem bear before. So resistances, like I want him
Yeah.
to be a tank. I want him to take damage. I want him to, you know, be resistant, to be the front line, to be able to hold his own, to
Yep.
take the hits, to literally shield himself against, you know, the other party members.
Yes.
And
Yes, yes,
strong, so he's got
Tiger?
17.
Oh.
Yeah,
sorry.
so he's this race gets a +2 to Constitution, so I could go low on that.
Yep.
and then I did the 16 into that, and he gets a +1 from his race.
Okay.
I went low in everything else: dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, charisma.
Yeah.
I got kind of hung up on like the spells because there was a lot of cool ideas. Like I was like, should I make him a Thundercat? Like now that he's got spells, can he like do
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah.
And I really wanted to implement lightning lure because I really liked that, being able to like, he can move pretty fast at 45. And so if something were trying to get away and it was 10 feet out of my, or 15 feet out of my range, I could whip it with a lightning tendril, hurt them,
Sure.
and then pull them back 10 feet instantly into me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I liked that, and I know that barbarians can't cast magic while they're raging. So the two that I had picked is Eldritch
Is it that they
Blast for
can't, or
range.
they can't cast, or they just can't concentrate? I know they can't concentrate.
I thought they couldn't cast. Maybe
if
that works then, because if I could rage and then green flame blade, that would be fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But regardless,
no
I
clue,
know it
yeah.
is no concentration, so I tried not to do concentration spells,
Oh, there it is.
just to be able to. You find it?
Yep. Can't cast or concentrate. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think so, because that's where we went into this like kind of gray area with Kaoken raging using a spell ring.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm not casting it.
No.
I'm still raging.
At that point, yeah. I think there is a
that's why
thing because you're using an object. You're not casting a spell.
Right, I'm using but you can still lose your rage if you don't attack something within 2 turns or something like that.
True.
I think it's if you're not,
If your turn
moving
ends and you
towards a
haven't,
target.
it says your
Yeah, if
your
you
rage
haven't-
ends
if
if
you
you
haven't-
yeah. No,
Go ahead, read it.
It says it. So I'm just looking at what it says right here on the
Yeah.
character sheet. It ends early if you're unconscious, or if your turn ends and you haven't attacked a hostile creature since your last turn, or taken damage. So
Yep.
if you
Take
don't get
damage.
hit, if you don't hit something, and if you go sleepy times.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard to read on stream, so
Oh,
It is. That's why
Control
I tried
Plus.
Yeah.
You could read it on your own character sheet. You got rage too.
Well,
I
no,
do.
but I'm saying for like people on stream.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
There we
Yeah.
go. There we
I
go. A
see.
little bit better, huh?
Yeah. That's
How's
a bit.
that?
Yeah, that's
There
a
we
lot
go.
better.
There we go. Sorry, what? You guys can't see ants? Silly. Yes, of course.
What is this? A character page for ants?
But yeah, all right. So sorry,
So,
not to get off on too much of a
rage,
tangent.
They get reckless attack. That's really good at the initial start of a bonus action rage. Then reckless attack.
True.
Let's see, danger sense. I think that's everyone gets that.
That's every barbarian gets danger sense. Yes.
Yeah, everyone gets that. So for my first totem, I picked bear for resistance to all damage except for psychic. That's super OP. But
All I'm
then for my
saying
second,
is you better.
yeah, but I mean, so I had already built this character essentially with a different race, and going through all of these other ones, this is still the one I pick. It's so overpowered, and it's such a nice consistent comfort to being able to like, oh, you mean that fireball only did half damage? Oh, sorry. You know what I mean? Like that's
Dude, it's
so
it's
strong.
built so well.
Yeah.
Like it's probably just outright broken considering that it's resistance against everything but psychic, and then you can get things that will give you resistance to psychic. So
yeah,
resistance
I
to
almost did that.
all damage
Yeah.
is nuts. On top of the fact that this is the class that gets the most hit points.
Mm-hmm.
It's a D12.
Right.
That's huge, which means like you can take all of your hit points. So let's see, 72 hit points at level 6 is what this character has, and I assume that you didn't like roll the hit points or whatever for each level.
I took the average.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the fixed rate or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So
I
72.
just said whatever it said was the average. I just clicked the
Yeah.
average, then I had a plus 22 or something.
So while raging, that would mean that you would have equivalently 144 hit points at level 6.
Mhm.
Nobody has that.
Yeah,
There's no other
it's
way to
insane.
get something like that. That's bananas.
And if the viewers don't know already, let me inform you that if you were to take a couple levels of druid and into the moon druid
Yep.
and change into, let's say, a bear, or anything that's got
Yep.
hit points that's kind of tanky, that also applies there. And
Yes.
then once you get knocked out of that form, you go back to your current state before you went into your rage.
Yep.
I mean, before into the wild shape.
Yep.
So you could effectively have like 500, 800 hit points depending on how many times you rage
Oh yeah.
and go into a wild shape. It is broken. It is crazy. But you're usually a animal with your own stats, and so you're doing a lot of
Mhm.
like physical swipes and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So to
you're
move
getting in that
forward,
mix.
the aspect of the beast, instead of going with Eagle, which is pretty cool, especially with Eldritch Blast being able to clearly identify up to a mile away. I can't shoot that far, but you can see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went with Tiger to kind of play into the same aspect as he is a lion race.
Yeah.
So you get 2 skills of the following. I picked Stealth and Survival.
Which
I
is
do have a
good.
disadvantage because of the armor.
Sure.
But my idea behind that is, one, if there was a time to do stealth stuff, he could just take off his armor
Yeah.
and then go out with his natural resistance, which I think it drops down to like 13 or 14 on his armor
Yeah.
class. I can see.
So you've got the
I think it's
adamantine
13.
half plate here, and you have
Yeah.
cast off half plate as another armor. So I would assume
So that was like if that didn't work, it would be like if this setup is too OP to like find
Mhm.
this stuff, it would be like, okay, he's got that and then maybe the great sword. But I really
Yeah.
liked either
Sure.
one. Either of the combinations would be fine.
Yeah. But your
Or-
cast off, I think, just lets you take it all off as an action, right?
Yep.
As opposed to
Yeah.
doffing it for 10 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so
Literally,
yeah, if you're
that's
going
what I had last week.
if you're
for my
going on a
artificer.
sneak mission, if you're going on a sneak mission and you know you're gonna have to like a little bit of foresight, if you are able to buy this, or if you're able to like have picked it up, and you don't want that disadvantage, and you gave yourself Tiger so you could get proficiency with your stealth, this is how you sneak as a barbarian.
Mhm.
Get cast off armor, that way you can just fucking basically tear away, and then now you're sneaky. That's
Breakaway pants and then start sneak.
Dude.
And then for the rest of the equipment, I just grabbed the like Monster Hunter kit to
Yeah.
further support my made up background of being a monster hunter.
Yeah.
And I would play this character as like he's been rejected from his pride. So he wolfgars himself into the wild to test himself and to basically find his match and die. You know, like it's his civilization or his people have abandoned him, and he's gonna just continue doing what he does. And I would his skill set for his weaver's tools. I mean, I think, aren't weaver's tools like you can make fucking wind chimes or dream catchers out of weaver's tools? That's like making like, okay, then that's what I would do for
it would
money.
make
I would
sense
kill
for me.
something and I would that's how I would accumulate money for selling
Artisan
stuff if
goods.
there's not already loot. Yeah. And then let's see. So the spells: Eldritch Blast for range, Green Flame Blade for as far as like initial start of combat, because you can't cast while you're raging. So I would action Green Flame Blade, have that jump from target to target, bonus action rage, and then I don't think I have any. Let me go to mine. I don't know why it's doing that. Yeah, and then pretty much rage, and then attack, and if something goes away, bonus action, get rid of rage, and then Eldritch Blast. I also have Arms of Hadar. That would be another, like, if I'm surrounded, drop.
Get over here, yeah.
Bonus
Get
action,
away
drop
from me.
rage, and then Arms of Hadar, pull them all in. You know,
Yeah.
hurt them all, and then yeah. What else?
Dude.
So he gets Daunting Roar, so that's as a bonus action. So I think I can use that in rage
To
so that would
frighten
fear
people.
people. Yeah. And then what else? He gets Beast Sense and then Speak with Animals. So I prioritized animal handling to be able to like communicate and hopefully find a cat that has gigantic nuts with the name of Nuts, you know, to help us out on mission.
Yo, the best companion.
Hey man, you literally asked for a cat.
I know.
Didn't. And
Yeah,
I was like,
so
alley cats
my-
aren't fixed.
And he had
yeah.
like the best personality of just like.
Yeah,
I felt like he
man.
was, like-
I saw him. He was
Yeah.
right over here.
Yeah, he was
Yep.
screaming all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm literally making a hero forge of this character, and I'm
We
totally,
show it
if
off
we
right
ever,
next week.
If we ever need show it off next week.
Yeah, we'll show it off next week. Because that
Okay,
way because I haven't made one yet. That was just like we should do hero forge.
We should try
Yeah.
and add that in if we can.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of representation, but yeah,
Yeah,
if we
I
ever
like
need a
it.
barbarian or a frontline clickety clack, like I feel like with this, because that's what I hated about Kaioken is like I don't have any like cool things to do, and just taking that initiate or warlock initiate,
Yeah.
which it was in between sorcerer or warlock, because sorcerer's got some cool spells, especially
Yeah.
if I wanted to thundercat theme it with booming whatever, and
Of course.
there's a lot of potential for being a utility knife and being able to do other things besides just fucking hit something.
Yeah. I like it.
So
I like that a lot.
yeah, it was fun.
All right, let's round this off. So I made a promise last week, and I didn't want to be a liar.
Yes.
So I went with a gnome. Specifically, my boy, Gray Deep Nature, the Deep Gnome, or Rock Gnome, or Zverfneblin, whatever you want to call him. He is a gnome barbarian. So, this boy here, I did his backstory in the first person, and he's not a very smart boy, but let me not get ahead of myself. So, fun fact about deep gnomes: if you look right over at their saving throws, they get advantage on dex against effects that you can see. Oh wait, no, that's part of their class. Never mind. They get advantage on wisdom, intelligence, and I believe charisma on magic spells.
Wow, that's crazy.
Which, if
That works really well.
you're a barbarian, you don't get those. You never take those. You're a dumb boy. You're a dumb strong boy. And I figured that might actually offset the -1 for the charisma saves, which charisma saves are usually the ones where like, oh, you're gonna do what I tell you.
Right.
Fuck. Right? And that's a good way to turn your barbarian against the rest of the party, and then everyone's having a bad time.
Yeah.
So he gets all of the mental acuity that he can out of that. That's all I gave him. He got his pluses to, I think it was intelligence and dexterity. Otherwise, and wisdom? No. Anyways, so that's why he's got a pretty even, but also a pretty high. Oh, you can't really see that. There we go. A pretty high list of stats here. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. So his name is Gray. And let me do the backstory in the first person. Name is Gray. I traveled with Og, and I'll tell you who Og is in a second. Always have. I go where he goes. He go where I go. Was hunting when nature came to me. Taught me how to protect nature. Told me nature's holy secrets. Promised to be nature guardian for her when she left. Gave me mark on arm to control what is not natural. Gave me endless water to clean nature from unnatural poison. Left me in caves where nature ends. Found Og dying to cave crab. Killed cave crab. Help Og because Og is nature. Og and me friends forever. When I get angry, people say nature's fury is in me. I am scary to most. To rest, I am anger's nature. Or nature's anger. So,
Cool.
Og is small, right? As a gnome, you are literally like small, I think is your size. Now, mounted combat means that you can ride something that is at least one level higher than your size. So if you're most people, you have to find a large mount.
Horses and the like.
I actually gave him the feat mounted combatant, which allows you to basically force an attack to attack you instead of your mount. And then if your mount is subjected to a dex saving throw, it takes no damage if it succeeds. So it's basically evasion, right?
Mhm.
If you succeed, no damage. Half if you fail, right? So fireballs, because you want to keep your mount alive. My mount is not magical. My mount is come in. Okay, where is it? My mount is in extras. My mount is a giant toad.
Hell yeah.
So it's
Okay,
a
Oh,
little
nice.
it's a
I
little
thought it was
rock
gonna be
gnome.
massive.
No, that's what I thought too. So this is also up to the DM, right?
Yeah.
Because if the DM goes, no, you can't ride a giant toad, then I'll ride a mastiff. I don't give a shit. But
Yeah.
giant toad.
Mhm.
Giant toads get a standing leap, they get a bite, and they can swallow. Ideally, this would be what he would be, because he'd be running and doing their jump thing and so on and so forth, right? That's Og, this little gnome barbarian who's bald and he's got these tattoos on his arm. The tattoos are for the coiling grasp tattoo from forgot about tattoos. So these are from the wild mount tattoos, I believe.
Yeah.
Because I don't like
Tasha's.
Tasha's. I don't like the Tasha's one. Spell rot tattoos from Tasha's are literally just rings of spell storing.
Yeah.
But they're
Ooh.
tattoos, so they're more expensive, they're harder to get, and then they go away immediately, and you can't like reuse them like you can with the
Yeah,
spell
exactly.
storing.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. So this one allows me to do grasping tendrils. As an action, you can extrude the tattoo into inky tendrils and reach a creature within 15 feet. It makes a DC 14 or takes 3d6 force damage and grappled. So then it can
Nice.
try. So it's not a spell. This is using an item.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
technicality. Gave it the uncommon, so it's on half a limb or the scalp. So I gave it on his arm. So from the elbow down, he's got a tattoo of. For me, I wanted it to be vines, like rose vines, instead of like tentacles, because it's
Yeah.
nature. Now, before I go any further, I went with the Zealot Barbarian, and you might be going, wait, nature zealot? That doesn't make sense. So he was actually, when he was younger, he was approached by Mieliki, the goddess of the forest, one of the goddesses of nature. So he became essentially more like a paladin for her. But because barbarians are more in tune with nature than like paladins would be, unless you're like a ancient ones paladin, or like druids, like they're people of the natural world, right? The whole point of a barbarian is like, I don't really care for like regular money, I don't really care for like, we hunt, we gather, use only what you need to survive, yada yada yada. So he's a zealot barbarian. What that does for him is it gives him did we all do the Tasha's primal knowledge thing? Or was that just me? Because I went with Tasha's and I was like,
I definitely checked that box.
yeah, because why wouldn't you? I didn't. I was gonna do the origins manager, to put the pluses in different spots, but I just said no. I'm like, whatever. Like, for me, like, that's good in play, but for me personally in this, I'm like, all right, it's not really gonna make that big of a difference whether I do or I don't. But just know that in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, you can put any stat, like their +2 and their +1, or in the case of the most OP, the mountain dwarves, their +2 and their +2, into any stat. So you can make a smart orc, you can make a dumb elf, you know what I mean, stuff like that, or a strong elf or whatever. So I went with Path of the Zealot, which means that while you're raging, the first turn on each of your attacks, the hit does 1d6 plus half your barbarian level damage. So that scales with you really well. Well, maybe really well. That means that at most you're going to be doing 1d6 plus 10, like at max level damage on the first hit on your turn with the weapon. So
Yeah.
like, that's, you guys already know, I'm one, I love stacking the dice in my favor. So while I'm doing my D whatever of damage, I'm going to be trying to add on as much of that as possible. Now, farther down, you get Warrior of the Gods, which means that material spells, or what is that? Spell to restore your life. So like Revivify, Raise Dead, yada yada yada, doesn't cost material spells. Because as we all know, that $300 diamond that it costs for Revivify is going to be hard to come across. Not if it's being used on you. Doesn't need it, because the gods love you. So I can be reckless now. Going back to that question about like fearing death, this character can be more reckless because you don't have to use material to bring him back to life.
Right.
All you got to
Hopefully you
do
got
is have a spell
spellcaster that
slot.
can do
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So it'll come online at like 5th level.
Mhm.
When I think 5th level, maybe it's Revivify is a 3rd level spell, I think. Just off the top of my head, I can't remember. Anyways, and then Mounted Combatant, because I plan on being on that damn frog all day long. Fast movement, so increased by 10 while you aren't wearing heavy armor, which he's not. Fanatical Focus is another good one that you get for being a zealot. If you fail a saving throw, you can re-roll it, but you got to use the new roll. So basically, not only do I get advantage, but if I fail, I can force it again. So I get a third roll. That's 2 for the initial, and then I can re-roll one of those rolls. So if I can't make any single saving throw by 3, then, hey, it was fate. That's all I'm saying. And then part of the racial traits, Gnome Cunning, that's where you get the Int, Wiz, and Charisma saving throws. Stone Camouflage, you have advantage on stealth checks to hide in rocky terrain. If we're ever in a mountain, if we're ever like in a cave that isn't like man-made, even if I end up having disadvantage from any kind of armor, it'll be canceled out by my Stone Camouflage, so I'll just have a straight roll.
Nice.
That's how I did that. So for his equipment, the Grasping Tattoo is what he got for that, and then the Decanter of Endless Water. I got that because so I got
from his background.
That's where it comes into play in the background, which would kind of mean that I would need to have these at 1st level, but it's only for this example, right? I actually got that because frogs need to be wet. For the most part, he'd be using it to like keep his frog healthy because he loves Og, his frog. Og the frog.
I like that.
I like it.
But also, if he's ever caught unawares, this thing has 3 different speeds. It produces a gallon, 5 gallons, or 30-gallon geyser. Jesus. You can aim it. They have to make a DC 13 strength saving throw or take 1d4 bludgeoning and fall prone.
What a fun fucking character.
Yeah, I totally didn't even recognize. I was like, oh yeah, so maybe he's in there and then someone gets the drop on him like an assassin. Oh, geyser. And then just boom. And then I gave him
so funny.
I gave him a flail, so riding on this thing, swinging a flail around, gonna be knocking people around. Javelins for whatever, because I had to pick one, but I wanted to give him a sling also because I gave him ball bearings and caltrops, and I want him to be able to. And I don't know if you guys ever saw Primitive Technologies YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, binged them all.
Probably
so with you.
You remember when he made that sling and he fell those saplings with rocks?
Yeah.
Ball bearings and caltrops, just what, and then just snap, because he's used to forging for his own. Now this dude I would play him as being very primitive. He's always in caves because he's a rock gnome. He's used to forest. He's used to seclusion. So he would not be an intelligent person. Yeah. He would speak very right?
Broken at best.
Very broken. But he is incredibly. Oh yeah, one of the things that I gave him was an exotic saddle. It allows you to ride aquatic or flying mounts, and since frogs can swim, he can be right there, like diving down for the little bit of time that he can hold his breath. But yeah, I figured that like he's good at being self-sufficient. Don't know why he goes with the party, but maybe it's just like, oh, okay, well, they have good food, You know what I mean?
Right.
Like whatever. But yeah, this was my guy. This was
Cool.
Gray Deep Nature. I like
I
that.
like that you have animal handling as his one of
Yes.
his things, because if he does ever go down, you could potentially get another
Yes,
mount.
and also because this mount is not magical, it's not conjured, it's not bound to me by anything. It's there because it wants to be.
Mhm.
So I'll still have to make, I assume, animal handling checks, which would be something he'd be good at anyways. Like
Yeah.
just being, you know, a nature zealot. I go crazy for nature. Woo. But
How cool.
yeah, so that's I actually had a lot of fun making this character, and I really wish that we could play these guys, but
I'm
It's
sorry
gonna-
to inform you that there is no frog mount in Hero Forge. I just checked.
well, that's garbage and I hate it. Maybe maybe by next week they'll add it because of course the developers of Hero Forge watch this.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
duh. Yeah,
get a sponsorship, no big deal.
you know, maybe I want a painted mini that I don't have to pay for. But that being said, you might be asking yourself, why are we doing this? Is it because we want to show nuts? Probably. I don't know.
Fun.
But we like to flex our
Nuts is
creative
cool.
muscle. This is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and it allows us to use that part of the brain
Well-
that only gets used once a year for us.
Yeah, and not to mention on top of it, it can help other players with
Exactly.
their like if you're in a slump and you're starting a D&D
Yeah.
campaign and you don't know how to make a character, you can just turn into this and be like, "Oh, that's actually a cool idea." Like the idea of having this barbarian or this artificer or something like that,
Mhm.
you know.
And
So
remember,
each of us
flavor is
exploring a
free.
different Well, yeah, but each of us exploring a different
Avenue.
race and a different path of each class is very like it can show the creativity potential behind characters. Leaving them as blank slates, cool, because characters can just go, oh, I want to be I want to be a green dragonborn like
Right.
Urzu,
Yeah.
and then fill their own like, oh, I want to tweak this so he's not a soldier, he used to be information broker or something like that,
Yeah.
or he used to be a spy and then became a barbarian. But also on top of that, giving them backstories can also help other people go, I like that idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Excuse me, for part of that backstory.
Yeah.
So
And then-
yeah,
And then it's also like just like what you were saying. The another reason we do this to show that even though we have the same premise, we all said barbarian. We all started at the same spot. We all have wildly different characters.
Yep.
It's you don't have to follow the tropes. You can, but you don't have to. And like I said before, flavor is free. And that's where
Yep.
you might get hung up, is because if everything is available to you, like, where do you start? And a lot of us can get hung up on that. So that's why we wanted to do this, is because it would also help to inspire any viewers now or in the future, and maybe jumpstart some of your writing. If you're a DM who doesn't know where to start with your characters. Start with your players, see what they've made. You can start world building or creating a whole campaign just for that. You might be on the writer's block hump of where to go next. There you go. Look at that. We have these 3 characters that all have somewhat kind of a loose backstory that you can kind of play around with. I mean, you know what to do. So go hit those crits. You guys
Yeah.
have a good night. We'll see you next week with Bards. Oh, this is gonna be fun.
this is gonna be great.
This
Yo,
is
I've got someone
Oh,
sent me
man.
a meme today of a different type of barb, and I'm like, yo, I'm using that for the next week.
Dude.
Yeah, baby.
So find out what meme it was that he's gonna blatantly plagiarize next time on Working Title Podcast.
Oh no, I'm
We'll
gonna